watch me shine. Whoa, whoa, I'm gonna shine. Whoa, you know I gotta shine. Watch me shine.
All right, y'all. We are back. We are back yet again for another very special edition of the RTJ Run the Jewelz Facebook live show and podcast series. I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple, King Jewelz here, ready to get this holiday season off right for those that are celebrating, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, you name it. We got a ton of holidays that are stacked on deck for this month of November going into the end of this year. And so shout out one time to all of the veterans that have served in any form of the military. Your day is on Thursday. And so we salute you for all that you've done, not just to defend the territory here in the US of A, but all those family members and friends of all of us who have a veteran in your family. Make sure you give them a shout out. Make sure you send them some texts, some phone calls, send them some love, because someone has to defend this USA that we call home for those who are U.S. citizens. But shout out to all of the veterans worldwide, but especially our U.S. veterans. Again, I'm your host, King Jewelz here. You can listen to our podcast, Run the Jewelz podcast, on all podcast streaming platforms that you stream or subscribe to your podcast. We're on Anchor, Stitcher, Apple. We just added ourselves to Samsung, Pandora, iHeart, every podcast platform that you listen to your favorite podcasts on. You can go and watch previous episodes from season 1. We're releasing episodes from season 1. Right now, we are on season 3, you all. And so you can take a look at our journey and see our tapestry that we put together from all the way in season 1 now to season 3. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're about to launch our Run the Jewelz podcast YouTube channel this month of November. But for now, you can subscribe at Julian Smartrimple channel to see some of our season 3 Run the Jewelz Show episodes that we have launched for season 3 with our live episodes that we are taping each and every week. And finally, if you're just joining us for the first time, our RTJ lifestyle show was created to spread light and also to spread wisdom to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn how to shine brighter in their careers or their businesses. And so if you are especially a millennial, or if you are a young professional and you are trying to upgrade or to elevate or empower your lifestyle, we touch on 3 different subjects: personal development, health and wellness, and most importantly, financial freedom. And so if you are someone that is trying to level up as we get ready to go into the new year, welcome to the RTJ show and our podcast series. But we're about to get ready to bring on our very special guests. Stay tuned for all of our updates that we're going to be letting you all know as we get ready to close out season 3. You can click the link that we're putting in the comment section to literally see what we're up to, what we're cooking in the kitchen with a lot of our upgrades for the RTJ season 4 launch. If you're interested in being a guest on season 4, which is coming up at the beginning of next year, you can fill out an interest form. We're all booked up for the end of this year, but there's still time. If you have a message, if you have a product, a business, or even if you are active member of our community and that you have the ear to the streets, you can definitely fill out the interest form to see how you can be a part of our season 4 premiere episodes that we will be launching next year. Again, thanks to all of our guests and all of our sponsors who have already come on for season 3. We appreciate you following the jewels with us this year. And without further ado, if you have any questions for my very special guests who are getting ready to bring on, you can list them beneath in the comment section, and it will show up on the screen just like you see beneath me. And we'll be able to let our guests answer any questions, any comments, or any concerns that you have on the subject this evening. And so those are all of my updates. But without further ado, we're on episode 180, you all. The major benefits of a plant-based lifestyle. The major benefits of a plant-based lifestyle. We're locked and loaded, ready to go for episode 180. And I'd like to introduce you to my very special VIP guest. I met this queen via Instagram. Shout out to IG. She is a dynamic athlete, and also she is a business owner and a businesswoman in her own right. She definitely is into the plant-based vegan lifestyle. So shout out to all those fellow vegans and plant-based natives, or even if you're a transplant, if you're just starting off your vegan or plant-based journey, I'm sure you can learn from the jewels of wisdom that my very special guest, Miss Asia Rawls, is going to share with you this evening. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Asia Rawls, who is my very special guest this evening. How are you, Queen?
I'm doing pretty well, King. Thank you for inviting me today. It's awesome to know that this is episode 180. You've definitely been grinding yourself, and hello to everybody on the internet.
Absolutely. We applaud you for coming on to drop the jewels with us this evening. What we usually have our guests do is to introduce yourself to those who may not know you, but definitely need to know you after today. If you can tell us a little bit about your background, Asia, and also where your hometown is and where you're checking in from this evening. And then you can tell us why this is an important subject to you to share with our audience this evening.
For sure. So as you may know, my name is Asia Rawls. I'm known as Brown Bambi. I call myself the plant machine because, like Julian stated, I am a dynamic athlete. My athletic career started at Eastern Michigan, where I ran a lot. I was captain of my team, MVP, and I have some college records, and I went to NCAAs for the 400 hurdles. I now run with the Run Club. We run 3-3 and just kind of maintaining that. I do have my own business that I put together, which is Brown Bambi LLC. And in that business, I kind of walk people through the plant-based lifestyle, how to get started, what are some recipes. And then I also coach people on the side. And I work in technology. So you're probably thinking this girl does a lot. And I do. I went to school to get my master's in business and a master's in computer information systems. And I wanted to show that Black people aren't just athletic, we're also smart too. We're very intelligent people, and you don't have to be one-dimensional. You can definitely do a lot of things and be all that you can be. So I went back to school, I got both my masters, and now I'm working through my business, my branding for helping people get educated. I'm locally in Detroit, Michigan, residing here downtown, mingling with people. As we all know, Detroit is one of the Blackest cities in America. And one of the objectives is to make Black people more active in the community, more healthier. Areas in Detroit face a lot of poverty, lack of knowledge, lack of love, and lack of care. And so I'm hoping to be that bright light to give people hope in their community through food and wellness.
Absolutely. So for those who are just tuning in with my very special VIP guest, we're interviewing Miss Asia Rawls, who is based out of Detroit, out of the D in Michigan, home of Motown, might I add too, and many other Ford, all the things that we hear about Detroit. Of course, we know that they tried to dethrone Detroit as being, as you said, one of the greatest cities by the water crisis. But we're gonna be talking about that also too, Asia, because we gotta hear from the insiders, for those who may or may not have been there firsthand to see what had happened recently in the last year or two. But for those who are tuning in, we're here for episode 180, the major benefits of a plant-based lifestyle. If you have any questions for Asia at any time, feel free to list them in the comment section below. We'll make sure to address any questions that you have for Asia. She'll be able to answer any questions. This is an interactive show. We want to hear from you all in the comment section. Shout out to Rod, shout out to Delta, shout out to Midnight Prayer Watch, and any of those who are watching the replay with us. But let us know in the comments if you have any questions for Asia this evening. But back to you, Asia. We definitely wanted to start off with, how did you get into a plant-based lifestyle? This is what a lot of people want to know when they meet people like yourself, myself, who may come across as aliens. They're definitely very unique based off of being in different major cities, especially major Black cities or metropolitan cities. So how did you start off your plant-based journey?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. For me, it's all about being a free thinker and doing what's for you. So I didn't get into it because I was watching, I was following other people. I got into it because I started to do some research and I saw the benefits of a plant-based diet. So there's many different benefits. I was just talking to Julian earlier. You have your plant-based diet, you have veganism, you have alkaline vegan, you got raw vegan. There's so many diets, and in my class, I tell students not to get confused with so many diets. But what I learned and what got me interested was understanding my biochemistry, my biology as a Black woman and as a Black person. And when I began to understand that, we eat based off, you are what you eat. And food is not just for taste, but it's actual nutrition to keep you alive. It's like a vehicle, like a car. Like a car can either take regular or diesel or, different types of things, or it can be an electrical vehicle. So you have to figure out, how did God design my body? What kind of vehicle, what kind of component am I? And what should I intake? What's good for me? What's bad for me? And so the more I started studying, and I made sure that I studied from people of my descent, of my history, and I started to get an eye-opening picture that, plants and nutrients and things I was lacking. Like, my parents worked a lot. And when I came home, it was always like lots of meat, heavy, they call it the sad American diet, the standard American diet of like steaks and pork. And honestly, I was so sick. I had so many infections. And I started to understand cells in the body and how that works and what it needs, and why plants are green and why they yield certain colors. And once you start to understand that a lot more, you have to understand yourself. So understanding myself culturally, our history, the places we originated from, the types of things we need, vitamin D, all of that played a piece into why I decided to change my diet.
Yeah, and that's a major key right there, you all, that she's sharing with you. I learned it. She's learned it. You don't get sick as much as you used to get sick when you are transitioning or switching to a plant-based vegan diet, especially vegan diet. So for those that are listening, you heard it from someone other than myself. If you're trying to build up that immunity, there's not going to be a vax shot or a jab that can outweigh a sound and swift plant-based lifestyle and a plant-based diet in your system. And so shout out to those, again, who are building up their bodies as a living sacrifice. We definitely applaud those who are taking care of their chicken, as Marshawn Lynch says. And so, Asia, I know when it comes to people and their reactions when they say or hear that I can't do all those vegetables, or I can't do all those fruits. I'm not even a avid fruit eater or vegetable eater. Like, can you explain people, like, what are some of your rebuttals when people say you eat twigs, when people say you eat grass all day, when people say you're on nuts 24/7? Like how can you educate the people that think that most plant-based eaters or plant-based or vegan lifestyle individuals are only eating grass or nuts?
That's so funny, because when I start my plant-based class, I get that a lot. You get a lot of jokes. Like, if you have a barbecue, people laugh like, oh, we about to put grass or veggies on the grill. And they kind of make jokes and stuff like that. So honestly, I have a lot of thoughts going about that, because when I sit back and I watch movies, I see how they utilize people, especially Black people, about, oh, I'm about to get some chicken nuggets, I'm gonna grab a burger. There's so much commercial and pushing images and Pepsi and dancing for these things that's in our face nonstop, that you can be doing something bad because majority of people are doing it, it feels good to you. So it feels good when people can make fun of me and I'm the only person eating a certain way because they feel comfortable what they're doing. And I've recently experienced this with family, and we have Thanksgiving coming up. So a lot of people tend to question, and they don't question in a bad way. They question because they're either interested, but they don't know how to get there like you, and they're struggling. So people tend to make fun of you when they know they want to do better. But a couple of things I always remind people, especially my students, is your why. Young Black men and women are dying from diabetes, cancer, sickle cell anemia. We don't have enough iron. Our nutrition, our body is just very horrible, obesity. And who's going to be the leader to step up and say what we're doing is not working, how we're eating is not good for us, and stop making it a joke? Because it's not a joke when a doctor tells you only have 2 years to live, or you got a cancer or tumor so big that we got to surgically take it out. But surgically is not really getting to the root. You have to really get to the cellular level and feed your body lots of water per day, lots of good nutrients, back to back. And I know that may be hard because you don't even know what to make, because you're thinking, oh, a salad, I can't eat that every day. But what's funny is that there's so many West African dishes, so many ancient dishes, ancient grains, so many things that you don't know what you don't know unless you go after knowledge. And that's the only way you can get better, is by being around people who can better you, not being around people who are going to take you down and, kind of tell you, oh, skip her, we're going to die anyways. And sometimes it's not about the quantity of life, it's about the quality of life. Focus on the quality of life, not, oh, my grandma lived to 90 and she smoked and drank. I hear that all the time, but what was her quality of life? People are in nursing homes at like 60 or 70. It's crazy to me. The human body can live a long time, and we have to know that, and we have to lead that, and we have to champion that, and not be afraid of it and not make fun of it, because our kids and the next generation are going to lead the life if we keep thinking that this is not an important thing or it's a funny joke.
Yeah, and everybody is joking, like you said, Queen, until folks get in there, right?
In a pandemic.
Yeah, and like you already know, until folks get in their 40s and 50s and still be looking like they're in their 20s or their teens or 60s and up, and they don't have their pot bellies that show that they have a lot of gastro issues or things that, of course, are internal based off of them being clogged up and them not being able to cleanse or even flow fully with their system being able to digest. And so it's all fun and games, like, until you really get to see who was playing with this body and who was taking care of this body when you get older. But I know we did have some questions coming in for you, so we definitely want to address some. Shout out to all of those who are rocking with us this evening for episode 180. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. We're all here to learn. I'm just the host that is here with Asia, my VIP guest. But if you have any questions for her, list them below in the comment section, and we'll get to them throughout this evening. But I know we did have a question coming in for you. Delta Williams asked, how would you encourage others to let go of the meat and convince them that they won't die? Being facetious, of course, LOL.
Yeah, that's a good question. And we were talking about this earlier. So I'm in a run club. I'm an athlete, and I still am an athlete. I still run. I still do 5Ks. I still race. And one of the things about being an athlete and a person, a non-athletic person, but I believe everyone's an athlete. There's people with disabilities, and they out there getting it. I believe anyone can do anything. But there's this stigma that if you eat plants, you're going to pass out and die, or something crazy is going to happen. You don't have enough protein. These are all myths to scare us from our better self. Why haven't I gotten sick in so long? Why have I not passed on the race? Why am I winning the races? Why am I still a strong athlete? And so there's a couple things with meat. Okay. It is a dead body. We need to, we call things meat, but it's an actual mammal. It's something that's died and it's lacking everything. Plants are alkaline, they're electrical, and humans are electrical, and we need these things to thrive. And so, but the sad part, with letting meat go is we're tied to it, almost like it's an addiction, like it's a drug, because, historically we came over and that was the food we got. And that's the food we relate to. Like, we love it. We have a conditioning towards it. Even, to this day, I may smell it or see it, and I remember when I ate it. And so the best way I talk to people is by relating to them. I was once you, but there is nothing too hard for man and woman. There is nothing if we can go to the moon, if we can build cars, if you can stop smoking, if you can lose weight, there is nothing that you cannot do for the betterment of your life. So again, I make sure people let me go by understanding your why. How important is this for you? Just like you wake up every day and go to work for another corporation, you're driven by that why. I got to make money. I got to feed myself. Okay, so do something for you. We do everything for everybody else. We do everything. And that's what we talk about, global capitalism. We do everything for these big companies to thrive. But when it comes to my human body, I do nothing for self-care. I do nothing for me. So it's going to come down to, when are you going to put you first? And you have to wake the person inside of you up, the giant inside of you. I can talk all day. I can preach. They did it in the Bible. You can tell people all day, but if you don't want it for you, I love you, I God bless you, but you have to want it for you. Otherwise, your days will be numbered, and that's the only kind of advice. You have to want it for you.
Yeah. And you walking good, like my cousin Andrew says, Queen, definitely. You got to want it for you. You have to know your why, as you heard Asia say. COVID still got some people in a comatosis, Asia. It's still very ironic to me that COVID is not shaking people up to have them know that they need to be literally building up their immune system, and you can't build that up with any chicken wings or any ribs or any parts of the pig, the ham bone that people still be on that look like us. But you can't build up that immune system with none of those things. And so I know you had another question coming in for you too. Let me pull it up. My auntie Carol asked, she said, how does I'm pretty sure one transition to a plant-based diet first step? So what would you give someone with a practical first step that they can take if they're serious about transitioning and they know their why?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually go through that with my students, and I always say, once you get your why, first thing is, don't overwhelm yourself. I get it. You're transitioning. Give yourself a pat on the back for even attempting and trying to transition. And then I say, what are your 3 favorite dishes that you used to love to eat? It could have been tacos. It could have been spaghetti with meat. Now let's figure out how to transition those dishes to something healthier. Maybe instead of a beef taco, let's make a chickpea taco. So I use transitionals of, what are you going back to? Why can't you maintain a plant-based diet? And they say, oh man, I just love nachos. Okay, great. Nachos still gonna be here. Nachos not going nowhere. Anything you could think of, we can create and make it better. Okay. Right. We make nachos, we make whatever it is that people like, and we actually make it taste better. So I do like a Zoom with people. I send them recipes, but I say, think of 3 dishes you always go back to. They even have vegan ice cream now. I mean, there were people that were vegan in the 90s and they didn't have all these options. There's so many ways to maneuver through it, but 1, don't overwhelm yourself. And 2, think of what you like, how you can transition to something better.
Yeah. And it's really just keeping it simple. I know we were talking about this before too, like what I always like to ask folks who went plant-based, like what were some of the first dishes that were your go-to items that you basically could rely on when you were having those cringes to potentially go back to meat, or even have those cringes to go to do fast food? Like what was your go-to like plant-based or vegan dishes that you
I'm gonna be real with y'all. When I first transitioned, I didn't know what I was doing. Honestly, I did not know. I am a better woman today than when I first started. All I knew was I didn't want to eat this. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was eating Lay's chips and French fries. So I'm like, oh, they got French fries. They got French fries. So now I told me, and honestly, that's a great. I'm happy we brought that up because you don't want to be an unhealthy plant-based eater. You don't want to be an unhealthy vegan. So just because you're not eating meat doesn't necessarily mean you're getting like the nutrition and hydration and all that type of stuff. So I had to educate myself to eat more of the whole food diets. So I started buying different beans or lentils or rice dishes or stews and was making that to fill myself up through the week. And then I started telling myself, oh, I can make some of the stuff I ate before. And then the other phase of me was like, I wanted to get like teff and like other ancient grains and stuff like that. But to start off, I kind of just did my regular like pasta dishes to kind of get me through. And then I kind of went forward to more ancient style or Ethiopian or West African style dishes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember if I started off Asia just on salads, just trying to hook it up in the salads, or if I went to like I told you before, tofu. I was literally on tofu even before I went alkaline. So that was something easy to get at the Asian restaurant.
I was doing carry out, Mediterranean carry out. I was doing a lot of different stuff. And I was like, this is not budget friendly. And that's another piece why people steer away, because they don't cook, or their spouse or partner doesn't know how to cook it. So they kind of just don't even bother with it and don't want to spend all the money to the research to find where it's at. So those are some objectives you will have to get around.
Yeah, that's real. And we definitely going to talk about having one significant other or a family member or even a husband or a spouse that is not plant-based, and how you cannot butt heads but still live in harmony with those who may not be on the same wavelength. But I know we had another question coming in for you too. Delta had a part 2 question for you. She said, can you also touch on the implications of being plant-based with this pandemic taking place? What can we expect to happen to our bodies by switching to a plant-based diet?
Yeah, what we can expect. And so a lot of things is happening, in my opinion, due to the pandemic, and that's the neglect of how sensible we are to our bodies and the world and all the obstruction we cause. The universe will respond and speak back to you. When things are good, you'll see good. When things are bad, it's going to show you bad. So like we stated before, I believe the main way to building an immunity is from the inside out. And that's you really getting a good layer foundation of your body. Even when people get sick in the hospital, the first thing the doctor prescribes people is to change your diet. They tell people to, I know a person, I'm not going to say their name. They had a skin condition and they went to the doctor, and this goes to immunity. I got to tell the story. They went to the doctor and they're like, I really need some pills or something to help with my skin condition. And you know what the doctor told this person? They said, what? I'm not going to prescribe you anything. The only thing I'm going to tell you is sit outside in the sun. And sometimes we overhype ourselves up and think that we need all these things, but really we just need a lot of our natural elements and our natural qualities. And these were a lot of the base principles of African Mayat principles, and a lot of our African ways was simple, spiritual, and immunity building. And that's how this world got so populated today. It was from the original people and their mechanisms and their methods. So it's very important that we understand and know as Black people, what position do we play in the world with immunity? Because we have a big piece in immunity. Without immunity and our immunity, nobody would be here. So we have to understand, what does that look like? What does that entail? It entails food. What kinds of foods? And there wasn't hospitals and a lot of vaccines when a lot of these civilizations first started. There were natural foods, God-given foods that came from nature that would be a healing for the world. And we have to believe that. And when I say we have to believe it, when I talk to people about this, especially, I don't want to sound biased, but I have to be real. The older generation, like my parents, if I talk to this about this, it's like to them it's like voodoo or that doesn't exist. Like you need medicine, you need this, and that's just how it is. But we got to unlock that thinking, because if medicine was working, why are we still getting sick? Why are we getting sicker? Why are things still happening? You know, we got to say, okay, what can I do? What are some natural things that we can definitely do to help ourselves? And nothing against nurses and doctors. I have friends who are nurses and doctors, and they do a great job with what they can do day in and day out. But we can help them by eliminating a lot of the things that we get day to day. We can help them because sometimes they get overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, that's real. I can't agree with you right there, Queen. I know I'm anti-hospitals, anti-healthcare. I love my family of doctors and healthcare professionals too, but I know that big pharma. I already know where this pharmakia spirit that's taking over the US and other countries with literally putting profit over healing. And so I know that they can't have a client or a patient if everyone's getting healed up in that hospital. But that's another subject. We're gonna talk about that on another episode. But I know before we go into our sponsor, we want to get in one more question for you so we can represent our sponsor for tonight's episode. But Auntie Carol also asked, and we talk about this a lot on the show, did you begin initially with a sort of cleanse? So did you start with a cleanse or a detox before you went full throttle and not just halfway in, 1 foot in, going plant-based, or did you have to go through a drastic measure?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. I went into it not knowing. I'm gonna just be honest, not knowing. Then I got like books. Then I became more holistic. So it was a stage. I actually just stopped taking medicine once I figured out like dandelion teas, burdock root, certain herbs, certain foods, certain things to put in my dishes, eating sea moss. I actually have a 21-day sea moss challenge. I make my athletes eat a lot of sea moss to get a lot of those nutrients in. Once I started understanding those principles, bladder whack and all these different things, that's when I could then start my cleanse. And I did it little by little. My body was a lot healthier, drinking elderberry teas, drinking lots of teas, drinking more water. And honestly, I just can't explain how, like, before I started, I used to get strep throat every year. I used to always get a very bad cold, a very bad flu. And my mom, she's not vegan or plant-based, and she understands what I'm saying, but she doesn't believe in it yet. Because if she believed in it, she'd be partaking more in it. But I love my mom. But one thing she also said was, I can't believe how healthy you are, because ever since I was a baby, I came out with an ear infection. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had all these problems every year after year after year. And when I took my body seriously with the cleansing, and there's food cleansing, and there's also like Brown Bambi lifestyle, just not about food. There's people cleansing, there's your home cleansing, there's lots of cleansing that takes place in our diet. That's just not food. It's the music we listen to, it's the books we read. It's a lot of cleansing. So I actually did a lot of cleansing outside of food, just lots of cleansing.
Yeah, that's a major component. I know with detoxing and cleansing and fasting, we talk about that religiously here on the RTJ show, Asia. And it's important for those who are about to be stuffing their face and eating for 2 and 3 people to make up for last year's missed Thanksgiving or Christmas holiday season, that you might want to go on a detox or cleanse immediately after you finish stuffing your face this holiday season. Because again, you don't want to weigh yourself down and clog yourself up any further than what we may have already done throughout the year. And so
just to quickly on cleansing, the animals have spirits, and they're getting raped, they're getting beaten, their house. Like when I have my class, I ask them, what was the process for this meat to get to your plate? What did it look like? How were they killed? They don't know. I don't know. And exactly, that's my point. You don't even know what bad spirits entered that animal and deprived their immunity. they don't even have good immunity because they're not eating natural things that they should be eating. So you got bad immunity, raped animal, screaming animal, tortured animal in a dark place, and you're consuming that. Why don't people want to make a spiritual connection to that? It definitely, because energy is transferred. That energy has to go somewhere and it's going in you. So there's lots, like you said, if you're going to stuff your face at Thanksgiving, you might have to do another cleanse. And that's what happens on Thanksgiving. Arguments.
Right.
People being angry. It'd be cool. And you got some bad energy somewhere somehow. We've all seen it. Let's not act like, you know what I'm saying?
Somebody always fighting at the spades table, fighting over the football game, the basketball game, whatever the game is. Somebody fighting or is literally acting a fool or a donkey during Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's a fact. Yeah. We got some people in the comments saying that's real. You dropping a ton of jewels this episode, but we're gonna really quick give a shout out to our VIP sponsor for tonight's episode. Each and every episode, we do have a VIP sponsor that we like to honor for being a part of our tapestry, being a part of our movement. And so take a look with Asia and myself to see who our VIP sponsor is this evening. So our VIP sponsor for tonight's episode comes from none other than the Midnight Prayer Watch. Shout out to the Midnight Prayer Watch, our VIP sponsor for tonight's episode. You can join their online prayer and intercession community today by clicking the link that we have in the comment section that is posted. But Midnight Prayer Watch is one of our partners and also one of our sponsors that we salute for the RTJ show. They even started their podcast hosted by the Delta Williams this week. And so go and subscribe to even their podcast, and one of our partners and sponsors for tonight's episode, Midnight Prayer Watch. You definitely want to go get your prayer and intercession live every Monday at midnight. And so who's watching this season for prayer and intercession? And so shout out to Midnight Prayer Watch, our VIP sponsor for tonight's episode. But back to you, Asia. We definitely wanted to salute our VIP sponsor really quick because we did have some questions coming in for you too. And so definitely go and click the link for our sponsor, Midnight Prayer Watch, for episode 180. But we did have a couple questions coming in for you right before our commercial break. We had one from actually Midnight Prayer Watch. Midnight Prayer Watch was asking, can you give some more advice on Impossible and Beyond Meat? Is this really healthy food? The $1 million question, Asia, can you answer it for us? Is not plant-based, is all the Beyond Meat, the Impossible meats, the Impossible burgers, is it more healthy for you or is it more unhealthy for you?
Yeah, so I traditionally try and tell people not to gravitate towards the Impossible and Beyond Meat, but the reality is, because the funny thing is, I just had a person FaceTime me yesterday, and he said, I don't want to eat Impossible and Beyond Meat. I said, okay, I definitely have whole food recipes, but the reason sometimes I tell people if you do it, I understand, but that's not going to be your end goal. There is a transition and growth period. So if you start off with that, it's not the end of the world because you're transitioning and it's okay. Be easy on yourself. But no, that's not the end point. And the reason why I say that is because we are working class American people. We are busy as heck. Some people may have kids, they may be married, they may have bills, you may have stress. And the reality is what we want to do and what happens are two different things. So in my class, I say update pictures every day. And I'll say, well, what happened to this food you were supposed to cook? I didn't even have time. And what I'm understanding as a coach is that people are so used to fast food that they want the Beyond Burgers and they want the processed foods. So when you eat processed food, you're essentially still stripping the nutrients and not getting the healthiness out of a whole organic food item. And even if you buy fruits and veggies, I always teach people get organic things closest to nature, good soil, away from pesticides, away from these things. So my go-to answer would be if you want to be optimally healthy, is to eat natural God-given food from the earth and cut it up, use it in your dishes, use beans as a meat base. I use chickpeas or certain lentils or certain brown beans or Nigerian style foods to make my dishes. But I understand if you do eat the Beyond Burgers, but I wouldn't make that your everyday thing because you're definitely not going to cleanse yourself or build your immunity by doing that.
Yeah, no, that's real right there, Queen. I know people were asking me, I know you remember last year and the year before when Burger King and KFC were first launching the Beyond Meat and Impossible burgers and the fritters, I think that KFC had, and everybody was telling me like, man, this stuff is hitting. I was like, is your stomach hitting after you finish this stuff, or is it holding up? Because I'm like, when I first had an Impossible Burger, because I tried one, of course, my stomach was all the way turned out. Like I'm talking about, I was like, I ain't fooling with, I don't know what they put in this thing, whether it's some cow head, some cow tongue. I don't know what they put in this thing and just labeled it impossible, but my stomach was in all types of sorts. And so like when it comes to even like you mentioned, being very particular when you go out to restaurants, because you and I have both experienced this, I'm sure. A lot of restaurants and fast food spots especially cook with meat oil, or they cook with other meats that were already in the oil when they were hooking up previous dishes at restaurant kitchens and back in the back room at restaurants. And so like, how should people go about making sure that they are not hurting their stomach or not basically still having meat that is cooked with their dishes if they're at restaurants or even at fast food spots? Because most people just believe if it says plant-based, if it says organic, if it says vegan, then it is truly vegan, plant-based, or organic. But how can people be very particular to not get it twisted?
Let me tell y'all straightforward. Closed mouths don't get fed. You got to speak up. You got to ask. Even, oh my gosh, I don't know about you, Julian. I've been through so many scenarios where someone brought me food and I'm like, I don't think that's vegan or something not right. And you'll ask questions. Or there was a time I was at a restaurant. I said, can you make this dish vegan? They'll say, yeah. And I'm like, are you sure this pesto is vegan? Let me talk to the chef. Oh, there's actually dairy or some type of cheese in there. People will think that they know what vegan is. They think they'll know. The one tip is, A, call ahead. Don't be afraid. Don't think you're bothering someone. Most chefs, they can understand. They'll respect you. It's just like, and I tell my students this, if you had a peanut allergy, if you were a certain religion or denomination and there's certain things that you need, you have to act like that and stick to that and let people know you cannot consume something and it's very serious to your vitality and health, and you have to mean it. You have to say it in your heart. If you are passive and you don't take your health seriously and you don't really care, people won't respect you, and they'll probably give you some dairy or give you something that you didn't request. And what I've learned is to stand my ground, ask questions, refer things to the chef, see what they can do. And if they cannot do it, guess what? You can't eat there. I mean, that's how I look at it. I got to either eat before I go, because I tell my students, if you're at if it's a graduation party, you either eat before you go or you see if the chef can make something. If they can't, Don't ever go somewhere hungry, because that's when the enemy gets in your head. Oh, look at that juicy steak. You're missing out. You're trying to be healthy, and you're the only one sitting there not eating, and everybody having a good time. Do not do that to yourself. Understand, if there's something on the menu, that we live in the internet of things. Go online, look at the menu, call them, and if they can't make it, you find what you need to do to eat before, or whatever you need to do, or go to a different restaurant. And people are probably open to going to a different restaurant. I've been in cases, I've been at work, and my whole job switched the whole restaurant to respect me. And I was kind of like, I'm not asking everybody to eat how I'm eating, but that is what leaders and influencers do. You lead and inspire people, and you would be shocked to know people are okay and they're comfortable with that.
Yeah, and that's real right there, Queen. I know I've had to check a couple people at events that I've gone to, because I'm straight up direct with it. I'm like, y'all don't have any vegetarian or vegan options in this thing? This is 2021, y'all. This is not back in the 90s where, like we were talking about before, that there's not folks that are not eating meat, especially in cities like Atlanta, and even potentially where you're at.
It needs to be a must. You should have it on there.
That's real. That's real. And like you said, some people, they just don't get it. And especially during the holiday season, thankfully, I've had family that do provide dishes that are vegetarian and sometimes even vegan friendly. But what will you say to those who may be trying to transition? Because I hear this a lot during this time of year, that they're trying to transition right after summer. But then when it gets to Thanksgiving, Asia, they know they're going to be around their mama's their mama's special desserts. They know that they're going to be around that ham, that pork, those ribs, that chicken, that turkey, all the pies that people love during the holiday season, and then they just revert back. Like what would you tell that person that is trying to be that old faithful and hold on throughout the holiday seasons, but they're around so much temptation with all the desserts and all the delicious meat dishes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm laughing because I face so many things, and I can relate to everybody with all these questions. I can relate to. There's a couple of things you can do. The first thing is you can either kind of take on the challenge of learning a dish or two. You can research a local restaurant that's selling it. You can see what kind of friends are based or vegan. Do they want to cook with you? Do they have family that do this? And D, this is something I also institute in my class. I have my students write a letter. And the letter, they're not going to read this letter to the person, but I have them practice it. And the letter is basically communicating. And communicating is something we don't often do. We often show ourselves to our lifestyle. And what's wrong with telling someone, I'm on this health journey, I take my health serious and I take you serious. I'm trying something new. Here's a few recipes. I can make them with you. We can make them together. It's something new. I understand I don't know things, and I'm willing to embark on a new Thanksgiving with making greens without meat. I think it'll be fun, but communicating with love and allowing to invite other people in, and don't be afraid to tell people what you're doing. Now, they could turn you down, and that's why I gave the other examples. That's fine. You know, you're not interested, you don't have time, you're busy. Then you would have to kind of take on the leadership of creating your own food, visiting a nearby restaurant, or hooking up with some friends who believe in the same things that you do.
Yeah. And bringing a dish is clutch. I know I've done that a couple Thanksgivings when I used to go to those individuals' houses who I know. I call it savage food, Asia, so excuse my my language. People already know that hang around me. If you eating meat, you eating that savage food. That's what I call it. So when I come out to different events or different holiday functions, I'm like, I need to bring something, or I need to eat in advance, because I'm not even trying to have my stomach grumbling because they didn't have any salad or any fruit salad dishes or any type of other dishes that I could eat or partake in. And so what I was going to ask you with that follow-up is you just sparked my mind on a good question. When it comes to those that are thinking that you can't cook certain dishes without the eggs, without the butter, without a lot of dairies. One of my favorite portions or favorite styles of food was always Italian, and I know they cook a lot of Italian dishes with the butters, with the eggs sometimes even too. But like taking out of dairy out of your desserts or out of your traditional dishes, like can you talk to people even from what you may have tasted yourself or you may even prepare when it comes to dairy that people think that you cannot make any dishes without dairy in it? Like talk to us about what are your thoughts on that?
Dairy is one of the main things why people cannot fully transition. And there's a book that's out there. What is it called? Oh, Cheese Trap. Cheese Trap. And I actually purchased that book. I gave it to someone. And in the book says like everything but cheese. Like I can eat a salad, but I need cheese, and I gotta have cheese and cheese. And so cheese is like really an addictive thing that a lot of people like to eat. There's certain reasons why. I'm not gonna get deep into that because that'll be another longer conversation. But I mean, you can still make dishes. Like honestly, some dishes give me a cheesy taste, and it's not even any cheese. Like there's like a coconut curry dish I may make, or a cashew dish, or almonds. There are nuts that have saturated fats or things that kind of give that cheese taste. But down the road, you start to crave cheese less and start to groom or mature your taste buds. You start to like other things, but I would definitely say utilizing other nuts or dishes to um, substitute the cheese is something you can do, but understanding that, yeah, cheese is definitely something we are all tied to. Macaroni and cheese. I mean, that's like the staple in Thanksgiving. If you ain't got mac and cheese, did you even have to have Thanksgiving?
Right.
But there's recipes online. There's some really good sauces. So the thing about vegan cheese, not the kind in the package, more like the saucy type. It doesn't give like that stringiness that we get with cheese. But there are some good vegan cheeses out there that have more of a saucier taste. But you can still make it. And it still pairs well with a lot of dishes. It just won't be as thick and clunky. But cheese and dairy is really a contributor to mucus in the chest, pneumonia, a lot of that upper respiratory things. A lot of the dairy is the cause of that. Bladder infections, yeast infections. Dairy is the number one cause to a lot of things. And I would definitely say that removing that, you'd be a lot healthier.
Yeah, that's real. And stay with that point too. For those that are listening, catch the replay. We're talking about how to overcome and how to get through this holiday season if you are looking to transition into a plant-based lifestyle before the end of this year. Talk about the desserts really quick too, because I know you're a queen, and there are a ton of ladies I talk to during this time of year that say they can't not have their chocolate, their pies, their cakes that their mom, their grandma, their auntie makes every single year. Like how do you personally, not just during the holiday season, but how do you abstain from the desserts or the sweet tooths that you've been used to growing up with, the candies, the cakes, the cookies, all that?
That's a good question. I've kind of been a dessert snack person, but not too much. I've always been an athlete. Not to say athletes don't snack, but I've never been like a huge snack person, even like today. But what I do know is a lot of I call my fake ice creams that I make are just like frozen bananas, and then I put the bananas in, and then I make a date syrup. Dates are really good for you, like the cacao or the dark chocolates. The hard thing with some of these desserts in these markets are they do get expensive. Like when I look at someone like these, nicer brands or different desserts, they're kind of expensive up there. But I would definitely say you can make a lot of things, just like you've seen with dairy. Anything can be replicated into something better. It's just taking the time to understand how can I use cacao, how can I use bananas, how can I use these fruits, and how can I make something decadent or even better. The name of the game is innovation, doing something better than what we've seen before. So although our ancestors laid the groundwork of getting us here today, the generation here now, we can take those and bless them for what they've done for us, and then make them better, you know? So that's my kind of take on the sweets and treats, is to kind of just get some of the more natural treats, because nature produces some of the natural treats we're looking for without all of the synthetics and high fructose corn syrups and all the dyes and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a big thing. I know when I talk to people, because they say, I love my sweets, I love my cakes, I love my cookies. And I'm like, there's tons of alternatives, especially nowadays, even for those that like to juice or like smoothies as a piece of their desserts. Just like you said, there's tons of non-dairy options that are out there. And that's what I definitely want to get ready to wind down with, because I know you're a African American woman, I'm an African American man, and so we're going to talk to our people, for especially the ones that cannot kick that ham, the ribs, and the chicken. The ham, the ribs, and the chicken. We know that this is built in to slavery times. If you go overseas, I've been to Africa, I've been to Asia, South America. It's heavily ingrained in all societies outside the U.S. and of course, being here in the U.S. Post-slavery. Like, why do you think it's so difficult, Asia, for Black people to kick the ham, the ribs, and the chicken? Like, why do you think they're so addicted to it? Like, literally addicted to it. Like, it's something that people tell me they can never give up, Asia. Even if there's a food shortage coming up next month, they're gonna be having all their chicken, their ribs, and that ham literally frozen in the back freezer, so that they can thaw that bad boy and still eat it going into the end of this year. So, like, why do you think it's so difficult for people to get off that?
Man, that's a good question, because when I look at my older generation and my family structure, my grandparents or my parents, they definitely are those people that you speak of who are like, I love you, daughter, but I just can't let this go. And a lot of what we've witnessed as a culture and Black people wasn't that long ago. It was, but then it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like what you touched on with history and us getting the scraps of these animals, we've become spiritually and emotionally tied to these foods. And it's almost like our comfort. It's become our culture, and it's become what we call soul food. So we've identified with these foods, and not only have we identified with these foods, we've created businesses off these foods. We've put these foods in the hood, and we've fed people, and we felt good. You know, when we weren't making money or we're trying to make our way through America, we knew that barbecue joint down the street had our back, and it smelled good. And the smell of food brings you back to this feeling of, you know, back at the barbecue, back at grandma's house, grandma made this. So now you're associating ribs to grandma. You know what I'm saying? You're associating chicken to Uncle so-and-so. And then it's all these feelings and emotions and associations. But the real association was a terrible time in history called slavery, where we were robbed of our natural self, mother tongue, our heritage, and our knowledge. And that is a part we don't relate to it. We relate good times to it. But once you understand thyself, you'll start understanding that how you relate to it now, you can relate to healthy food like that, because there was a point in time where that's what we were doing. So it's literally trying to divorce yourself from something, and it hurts us, and we have no emotional tie or no lovingness to healthy food because we have no history with it. You know, we have no, I can't, you know, speak to that. I don't even know how to make it. And grandma didn't make that, and uncle didn't sell that. So it's really taking that perseverance of the new generation to kind of move forward and kind of show people that we can definitely do this, and how we're living is not working. You know, we have to come to terms and accept that what we're doing is not working. And honestly, crime, a lot of the things that happen in places of poverty are always places that lack healthiness. People who have ADHD or a bad family home oftentimes have a lack of nutrition. There are things systemically intertwined with food and we have to understand how that plays a role. They did a 10-year study at a school, and they fed kids like apples and whole foods, and they fed kids with snacks and processed foods and meats. And the kids that were eating healthy at lunchtime were having records of higher test scores, better listening skills, different things, because they were getting vitality and the real love and the real understanding. And the other kids that were getting, cow's milk, other mammals' milk, other foods, less processed, were doing much differently than the other students. So there's a lot to that. It's understanding that it's okay to let go something and move forward, and understanding that what we're doing is actually damaging us. And the only people that's going to tell us is us. If we're expecting to get on and turn on TV and someone's going to say, Black man and woman, I love you, and you shouldn't be doing this, and you tearing yourself up, we have to look to ourselves to help ourselves. And I think we've been looking at everybody else to have the answer, and we have the answer within. And we need to be the leaders in this answer and guide the world to a better tomorrow, and stop expecting other people to do that.
Yeah, that was very well spoken, Queen. I know we talk about a lot of controversial topics on the show, especially when it comes to health and wellness. But I tell people this all the time, like, rest in power to all of those family members who have passed on pre-COVID and also post-COVID, and even as we're still struggling through the COVID season. Like, cardiac arrest and heart disease, heart issues is still the number one killer in the world, especially when it comes to people that look like you and myself. And many, I won't say majority, but many of those that have passed on recently in the last year plus from quote unquote COVID, they had heart issues, they had breathing issues, they had respiratory issues, especially those that look like us. And so if people really want to be real about it, especially when it comes to immunity with the jab or with other booster shots that people are talking about, I even challenge folks to look at, like, how is your heart really when it comes to your lifestyle, because no booster shot or no jab is going to save you from cardiac arrest or any issues, especially in Black men and Black kings that look like myself. If your heart is not working correctly, if your heart is not in alignment with the lifestyle that you want, then you don't have anybody else to look at, or you don't have any other excuses of why, again, you're having issues post getting a jab, or if you are not even or if you're unvaccinated, because that is something that we, as you said, have to take ownership of us and our health and our wellness, like Asia said, and we can't make excuses, especially when it comes to that heart.
And a lot of the sad part is, some people say, well, I don't see, hey, Nico, a lot of people say, nothing's wrong with me now, I'm good, not knowing that there's something brewing and laying dormant in you that you're ignoring, and something's probably going to show up down the road. And even if something doesn't show up down the road, we as people deal with a lot of stuff that we don't talk about. Like, we can have anger issues, we're depressed, we have all these, we're on pills, we got ADHD, we got hypertension, we got so many things we deal with now that we think is normal. We desensitize ourselves. People say, oh, we've been getting vaccines for years, we've been eating ribs for years, and we've been messed up for years. Like, we normalize sickness, we normalize suicidal thoughts, we normalize hating our families, we normalize dysfunction, to the fact that we don't think that's a problem. Like, we're just kind of like, oh, it'll get better. How? What way? When? And what does it look like?
No, that's real. I don't sugarcoat it on the show or the podcast. People that know me, I'll call it out. Like, what is your sedentary lifestyle looking like? Or are you having an active lifestyle? Is what you as, especially a coach and an athlete, know, because that's going to really determine your outcome in your health and your wellness long term. And so I know we definitely going to have to bring you back for a part 2. So let us know in the comments if you want Asia to come back for a part 2. But we've reached Asia, the final segment of the interview this evening. We talked about a ton of subjects. We talked about your transition into a plant-based lifestyle. We've talked about literally your journey, and it literally is a journey that you've taken in making a leap of faith to change up your lifestyle and the benefits of it on the back end and currently in the present. Like, what would you want to tell the people that are listening as a final piece or a final jewel of wisdom when it comes to this plant-based lifestyle journey?
Yeah. So when it comes to like being plant-based or being vegan, there's a few things I would like for people to take away. The first one is understanding yourself, loving thyself, knowing thyself and knowing your history and knowing what that can do for the next generation and the future. Another couple things is to understand, even the process of animals. Animals are sentient beings. They feel pain like us. They also have a spirit, and if they're being beaten or hurt, that spirit can transfer to you. And the final thing that I'll say is I actually wrote a poem. I'm not going to say the poem. It's kind of long, but I wrote a poem called The New Update. So I work in technology, and as we all know, computers and laptops have to get a new update every year. A new iOS update comes in. So if you're a human on this earth, what updates have you done to yourself? You've updated your phone, you've updated your laptop, you update everything else, but you don't want to update your mind. So what I would ask for you is to accept the release, this new feature from the universe, the new feature from God. And that new release is saying that every year you have to improve yourself. You are a product from the Most High. And every year we got to get better. There's going to be something better in the next 10 years, but what are you doing today to receive the message, to update your mind, your body, and your spirit, and know that you don't have to do it alone. You can communicate and you can do it with other people. Don't think it's a lonely journey. Nothing is too hard for you. Nothing is not a challenge. You are brilliant. You are smart. You are able. You are confident, and you are all knowing. And we are the most powerful people to move this planet forward. And you have to know that and believe that. Brown Bambi, the plant machine. Follow me on IG. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that, but that's all I had to say.
Absolutely. She dropping the mic on y'all, about to drop these bombs on y'all this holiday season to get y'all minds ready, get the mind right for the holiday, the mind and the body right. Let us know in the comments again before we allow Asia to tell you where she can reach out to you. We already have some saying excellent episode this evening, Asia, just to give you some motivation and some love. We definitely had Nico say, talk that talk. You're absolutely right. Delta said, part 2, please. Yes. We got my auntie Carol saying, yes, part 2 for sure. Definitely heart this episode and also share this content because we definitely want to get this message out to make sure that people know we're not playing this holiday season, you all. I'm tired of seeing soldiers pass and die before their time has been called. Based off of the lifestyle that they chose to live and they chose to eat with. And so where can they find you, Asia, if they want to solicit your services? We always like to give plugs for our guests and people that may want to even follow your journey on social. Like, what are some ways that they can touch base with you?
Yep. So if you want to contact me, you can follow me at Brown_Bambi. You can go to my website, brownbambi.com, check out my blog, check out a few things, or you can email me at arawls90, ARAWLS90 at gmail.com.
Yeah, so y'all have all the and I'm gonna put it in the show notes for the podcast of where you can reach out to again Asia. Definitely go and follow her. I've literally came across her profile on IG, so shout out to Instagram, of course, which is owned now by Meta. Facebook changing names out here in these social media streets, but we definitely are able to catch a lot of awesome guests like Miss Asia through Instagram and IG. So shout out to IG. But I want
to you and just say thank you for you and your platform. I found him on YouTube. You were speaking crazy knowledge, and I'm just like, I love to see people that are very smart and intelligent. Thank you for building this platform and taking the time to connect people and bring forth a message. I appreciate everyone today hearing me and being on today.
Absolutely. We got to all connect with that synergy when folks with the message and also those with empowerment are being able to gel and also being able to meet like kings and queens at a royal table. We all destined to shine. But I'm gonna say a quick prayer over you, Asia. But for those who are tuning in, if you like this episode, feel free to sow a seed with us. It's tagged in the comment section of the 3 ways you can sow. You could either click the link to go to our page for either donations, sponsorships, or giving a seed. But if you choose to give via Cash App, you can Cash App us at $SMART, SMART, JEWELZ, or you can Venmo us at SMART, JEWELZ Enterprises. And so no seed is too small or too large. All the names that you see at the bottom of the screen on the ticker are those who have been faithful sponsors or faithful donors to the show. In this season, we just started a Patreon account for our loyal Jewel subscribers and listeners. And so shout out to all the names at the bottom of the screen. But let me say a quick prayer over you, Asia, to bless you for coming on the show. I know it's a Tuesday night, and we thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us. And so I definitely want to say a quick prayer over you. Father God, I just want to thank you for Asia being able to come on the show this evening and just being able to just be real and to also be vulnerable and transparent with those who may be struggling with their health, those who may be struggling with their food choices that they are making, or even with upcoming decisions that they may need to make with their job, with vaccinations, or even just with transitioning into the new year ahead. We thank you for her setting any of those who are captives free from being able to not feel encouraged or feel motivated to make a choice, not just for themselves, but for their family, for their legacy, and even for their children to choose a different path than what we've been raised to know, which is not working. And so we pray that no one will be able to pass before their time based off of health choices or health decisions that they either neglected to make or did not make soon enough. And we just pray that everyone will enjoy this holiday season, but also will enjoy this holiday season without overindulging on foods or on things that will cause any detriment to their health and wellness. And so we thank you for her light. We thank you for her passion. We even thank you for her business. We pray that you will provide additional clients, additional revenue streams just from this podcast and from all of the gifts and talents that you've given her. May you expedite it and also magnify it, and may her cup runneth over into the new year with new opportunities, new speaking engagements, and also new clientele. I love you, Father God. I praise you and I honor you, and it's in Yahshua HaMashiach's name, the Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Powerful prayer.
Yeah. You know, we got to send you on your way. You are dangerous. You're a dangerous woman when you're a Black woman speaking on plant-based lifestyle out here. You know, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted, like we said.
At all.
Absolutely. But it's been a pleasure serving with you, Queen. I know episode 180 is in the books. I know we'll be in touch soon, but definitely thank you again for coming on and sharing the jewels with us this evening, Asia.
No problem. And thank you for having me. Also forgot to say on YouTube, you can put in Brown Bambi as well. I got a few videos on there.
Absolutely. Y'all go and follow Asia ASAP. Go and solicit her services for consultation too. I know she's a coach, so y'all go and follow her after this episode today for sure.
All right. See you guys.
All right, Queen. I'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.
All right, y'all. I'm going to just do some quick final jewels for thought. Episode 180 is in the books. You heard from Asia Rawls, my very special guest. She was dropping a ton of jewels on us this evening. So shout out to those who were listening or who are catching the replay. You definitely were blessed just as much as myself this evening from hearing from my very special guest, Miss Asia Rawls. And so I'm going to give some quick updates of what we're doing going into the end of season 3. We're literally on the horizon of the new year. And so definitely stay tracking with us and stay in tune with us to see what progression and also what updates we have for the rest of season 3. But take a look. This was a video that stalled during our sponsorship segment, but take a look and see some of our updates we're doing for RTJ. So if you are someone sitting on the sidelines, if you have a message, if you have a ministry, if you have a show idea, it is your time to shine. This holiday season is here. And so what are you waiting for? If you're someone that is trying to launch your podcast, like many of the partners and also the clients that we've worked with, let us help you shine, and we will create the opportunity for you to shine with your podcast or your show creation this holiday season. And so if you're interested, you can click the link or go to www.jewelz.enterprises.org to sign up for a free consultation to get you started. We provide all of these services, but also for podcast and show creation. If you're looking to get a live stream service for your podcast or show to be seen by your online media or social media audience, if you're an educator like myself that is looking to create webinars, classes, meeting solutions, if you're looking to customize your brand and to let your brand shine for the new year that is upon us, definitely go and look at www.smartjewelzenterprises.org. You heard me speak about this earlier, but we do have 3 levels of our Patreon accounts for our jewels, who are our loyal listeners and subscribers, our shining jewels. You can either come in at a gold, diamond, or platinum level. Each level for our Patreon jewels subscribes to different benefits and also different add-ons. And so you can click the link that is attached in the comment section and pinned to see how to sign up to be a loyal VIP Jewel subscriber this season. Also, we concentrate on 3 core and key elements and areas for the RTJ show. 1 is personal development, 2 is financial freedom, and 3 is health and wellness. We definitely want you not just to live healthy and well, but we also want you to live financially well and financially free. And so if you are someone that is in debt still with student loans, car notes, credit cards, healthcare bills, you name it, or even that the taxes with the government taxes money, we can help you. We provide financial coaching and also consulting for those that are serious about getting out of debt and also putting a plan together to live financially free. Let us create the opportunities and the blueprint to help you shine brighter with your finances this holiday season. And so you can register now for a free 30-minute consultation by going to www.smartjewelzenterprises.org. Also, finally, you saw the statistic that 1 in 5 adults experience mental health issues or even a mental health situation. And so you are not alone. If this is you during this holiday season, if you're struggling with your mental, I know the vax mandate is this week and also by the 15th in most states here in the U.S. that jobs are saying that you either have to get jabbed or you got to go. But if you are dealing with any mental situations, we have resources that are available. You can definitely hit us up on our website for the RTJ show, or you can reach out to us to see how we can connect you to the right resource. But do not give up on life, and also do not give up on yourself or your family. So for the rest of this year, it's time to take your personal development to the next level. We have also an online e-learning platform titled Smart Jewelz Institute, which is part of the Smart Jewelz Enterprises conglomerate and organization that powers the RTJ show. And so if you are interested in signing up for classes in real estate investing, financial investing, personal development, public speaking, professional coaching, Anything that is dealing with personal development, financial freedom, or health and wellness, we have classes, and we also have coaches and guides that are teaching on a plethora of different subjects and also different topics. And so you can take a look at smartjewelsenterprises.org to sign up for our 60% off memberships that we have going on right now until the end of this holiday season coming up for November. And so take a look at Smart Jewels Institute so you can be a part of our students and our members who are our shining jewels. Next week, we do have episode 181. We're coming down to the final leg of season 3, Reading Between the Silver Linings, with one of my brethren and one of my fellow kings, Kai Chai, who is going to be talking to us about reading between the silver linings this holiday season. I'm excited for this young king coming on for next week on November 16th at 7:30 p.m. He will be locked and loaded with us to share his jewels and his powerful message on reading between the silver linings. You can follow us and subscribe to us on all podcast platforms. Again, we're on Anchor, Stitcher, Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, iHeartRadio, literally Amazon. We just subscribed to Samsung podcast today. And so we're making moves for the RTJ show. We're literally going to be expanding and having our show on international scenes and international territories in 2022. So I'm excited, you all, to see what our team is cooking up. Our team is making some major moves for the end of season 3. And so stay tuned, you all. We have a lot of fireworks in store to start off season 4 next season. But again, if you have been blessed by tonight's episode, feel free to sow a seed with us. No seed is too small or too large. All the names that you see at the bottom of the screen are those sponsors and those VIP donors that have donated to our show and our movement, our international show and movement, by the way. And so shout out to an anonymous donor, Smart Food Kitchen, Alana, Hope Christian International Ministries, the Hugo Bar, JR, and another anonymous donor, Auntie Carol, Arlene Speaks, and also Midnight Prayer Watch, who was our official VIP sponsor for tonight's episode. We cannot do this show successfully or in delivering it in excellence without you all's support and also without you all's motivation. And so share this content with someone you know that can benefit from the information that we learned tonight on the plant-based lifestyle and the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle. I'm sure you all were able to learn just as much as I was able to learn, even though I'm an alkaline vegan. Miss Asia Rawls definitely blessed us with sharing her knowledge, her tutelage, and her wisdom and how she transitioned successfully, especially as a Black woman, as a Black queen. And so you heard from someone outside of myself that is mentioning that we need to start taking care of our bodies, you all. We need to start taking care of our temples. Make our bodies a living sacrifice that is holy and also acceptable. That is not diseased, that is not broke down, that is not having a ton of issues and ailments as we grow into our elderly state or into our more mature state. We need to still be able to live young and to also live fluid and live free. And so if this is you, if you're on the fence right now, go back and rewatch this episode, watch the replay or listen to the replay on the podcast, because it is time to make a change, you all. It is time to make a change. A COVID vaccination shot is not going to be that change. You have to make the change. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to make a decision for your family, for your legacy, for your future. Because you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the clout, all the prestige, all the juice, as I like to say. But if your body is not able to sustain that success, or your body is not able to maintain that success, what was the point of going and climbing that ladder? What was the point of going and hitting the lotto if you're not even going to be able to enjoy the fruits? What is the point of building that company if you're not able to enjoy the fruits of your labor because of your mind, your body or even your soul is not in alignment? What is the use? What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? I will even extend that to gain the whole world, but your health is not able to sustain that soul that you have. We got to make sure our mind and body and our soul is in alignment, divine alignment. You can't have one without the other, you all. We got to work on the mental this season. We got to work on the body this season, and we definitely have to work on the soul. Because if one part is out of alignment, then everything is going to be flip-flopped. Everything is going to be lopsided. You're never going to be balanced. You're never going to be balanced. You're always going to be tossed to and fro because you are not in alignment. So let's make it a point to get in alignment going into the new year. Don't overindulge, don't overeat, and don't, again, backtrack. We're going forward into this new year. We're not moonwalking. We're not going backwards, you all. And so those are my final jewels for thought. Definitely stay tuned for next week's episode 181. It's been a pleasure serving you all this evening. Again, make the choice for your family if you are not willing to make the choice for yourself. Make the choice for your children if you are not willing to make the choice for yourself. Because someone needs you. Someone needs to see the change that is being made within you, and someone needs to see that light that is within you. It's time to stop dying before our time. I'm tired of hearing of people's family members dying before their time was called. We have to make a choice for our community and our families and our children to live better, to eat better, and to be better. I'm signing off. Those are my jewels for thought, you all. We taking this thing to the top next year. But stay tuned, stay hydrated, stay blessed, and make sure you watch for the jewels for next week's episode 181. King Jewels signing off. Peace.